ancestors didn't come up from the south, but from the east. Following the M173, along the ancient grasslands, which were then expanding across the Asian steppes. It turns out most European men descend from this same pioneering group.
They're the ancestors of George, my ancestors as well, on my father's side. They would have been the first modern humans into Europe around 35,000 years ago, and when they arrived, they weren't alone.
When modern humans first made their way onto the European scene, we had an entirely different species to contend with: Neanderthals.
Well, you're here in my humble abode. This is my world right here, my things that I love. I just want to show you, this is an ancient Greek amphora found off the island of Rhodes.
In his second-floor study,
and I haven't been
scattered among his ancient Greek pottery, precious gemstones, and billion-year-old meteorites.
Just got this from eBay. I believe it to be authentic.
George, a closet archaeologist, happens to have some evidence of who these first Europeans were.
Okay, let me bring you way back now in time, and this is Neanderthal. Who were these people? I looked at this and I touched it and I felt it and I said, this guy was right-handed. Look at the way it fits. Perfect.
Neanderthals had set up shop in Europe as many as 300,000 years before George's ancestors arrived. They adapted to it and developed skills to thrive in it. But their world was changing.
Neanderthals were much more muscular than we were, a hell of a lot uglier than we were.
Modern humans have long taken the rap for Neanderthals' downfall. But at Europe's southernmost tip, on the Rock of Gibraltar, archaeologists are finding a different story. Around 28,000 years ago, these caves may well have been where Neanderthals made their last stand. They also happen to be among the last spots in Europe reached by modern humans. To Gibraltar Museum director Clive Finlayson, that's no coincidence.
This is a very special place, almost a kind of Garden of Eden for the Neanderthal people. They know the landscape, they know what they're doing, and they're better at it than you are, because you're learning as you go along. So it is possible that the arrival of modern humans down here is late, because there's other people here who are not as stupid as we think and are actually keeping them out.
It turns out while ice covered much of the rest of Europe, driving Neanderthals elsewhere to extinction, warm Atlantic currents entering the Mediterranean kept this place livable.
The cave would have been a place of shelter. Come nighttime, if you've got a nice big cave like this, where you can put a fire in the entrance and sleep behind it, then you sleep comfortably and protected.
Recently, Finlayson's team has uncovered embers from some of these ancient fires, which indicate Gibraltar didn't stay a Neanderthal Eden forever. One fire was built by Neanderthals one night 28,000 years ago. The other by modern humans 4,000 years later.
This light brown level here going down represents the occupation of the cave by Neanderthals. You can see bits of charcoal there from the spitting away from the barbecues that the Neanderthals were having. The darker line upwards, more recently, marks the presence of modern humans. Apart from anything else, what this shows here in this cave is that you cannot blame the modern humans for the extinction of the Neanderthals, because here at least they never saw each other, they never met.
For what did? Once again, we turn to climate. Tools here reveal Neanderthals were no less advanced than modern humans. But while they had developed things like thrusting spears for hunting game in a warm, wet Europe, we had already developed long-range projectiles on the frigid steppes of Central Asia. As George's ancestors followed that cold, dry climate into Europe, they had the edge.
The bottom line really is that it went down to chance, because had climate, instead of getting colder and more variable, got warmer, well, one idea is that perhaps, with the greatest respect, those of us talking today would be Neanderthals, discussing the extinction of the other guys.
Within a few thousand years or so of our arrival into Europe, Neanderthals went the way of the dodo, while climate, once again, allowed modern humans to thrive. And these new European immigrants would create things Neanderthals never did. Artwork that still evokes awe today. Fashion designer Alma Mujezinović's ancestors may have been among those old world artists. Her mitochondrial U4 marker reveals her ancestors left the Middle East and arrived in Europe shortly after George's first encountered the Neanderthals, around 35,000 years ago, perhaps retreating from a series of droughts at the time. Alma's immediate family was forced from their homeland as well. They lived in Bosnia as far back as anyone can remember, until one day in November 1992, when war forced them out. They fled with these photographs and little else.
We packed up our stuff one morning and we just left. Our town was, ethnically cleansed, and unfortunately, a lot of concentration camps were set up there, and a lot of Bosnian Muslims were killed in those concentration camps. So my parents decided that we were going to try to immigrate to the United States because of, a better future, education, and, a better life.
Alma was 9 when her family fled Bosnia. She's as much American now as Bosnian, but she still clings tightly to her European past.
This is my grandma. This is me, my dad's mom, and my mom. As you can see all the women power. I want to hold on to what I'm made of, and that's, I think, the most important thing to me.
Come on, let's go. Come on.
She now has high hopes for what her genes can tell her about her ancient relationships.
When you find something out that, for example, you may be coming actually from the same ancestors, and you've been killing each other and hating each other because of certain differences, I'm hoping that it'll open people's eyes, and that it will make us more tolerant of each other.
Irish musician Eamon O'Tuma is banking on his DNA test to alleviate tolerance issues as well. He and his Korean partner, Hannah Choi, have been together for nearly 4 years.